Heaven's Gate, a presentation by Cece Cardenas, Michaela Marquand, Frankie Loretta, Cassie McDaniel, Caroline Tibbetts, and Marlena Clarkin.
Heaven's Gate followers believed that Earth was about to be recycled, and the only way to survive would be to leave it immediately. The group was concerned with the premise of elevating oneself to the next level. In order to be eligible for such, it was believed that individuals must shed their attachment to human attributes, such as family, friends, sexuality, individuality, money, occupations, and personal possessions. The next level was known as the Tela, or the evolutionary level above human, which was a physical place in another universe where individuals lived in pure bliss without engaging in mammalian attributes, such as sex, eating, or dying. Moreover, the group believed that the Bible lists God as an extraterrestrial. The group believed their human bodies were only vessels meant to help them on their future journey, and they were thus referred to as vehicles. There is a belief in evil space aliens known as Luciferians that disguise themselves as God in order to hinder human development. It was also believed that all existing religions of Earth were corrupted by this idea of Luciferians. The founders of the cult were initially referred to as the Two, and were convinced they were the end-time witnesses in the Bible's Revelation 11, a Christian post-apocalyptic account. The group members additionally added ODY to the first names they adopted instead of their original birth names. In essence, the beliefs of the cult were essentially syncretistic, combining elements of Christianity with a belief in UFOs and extensive extraterrestrial presence.
So the basic overview of the leadership structure of the cult is Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles founded the cult in 1974. Mr. Applewhite took the name Bo, and Bonnie took the name Peep, as they believed that they were shepherds tending their flock, which were their followers. Both of them were born in Texas, and in 1973, Mr. Applewhite was arrested, and in jail he started developing his theology. That really kind of started the Heaven's Gate theological values, and that's when the followers started coming into the cult. The leaders are really characterized by being very strict. They really try to establish a so-called boot camp lifestyle for their followers. Again, they were very strict and trying to limit their followers' human characteristics because they believed it was a hindrance to achieving the next level. And then Applewhite really fell into a deep depression when Nettles died in 1985, which kind of a lot of people assume that depression kind of led to his more radical beliefs, including suicide, which eventually led up to their suicide, mass suicide in 1997. Yeah.
The cult was located in Rancho Santa Fe, California. And on the left are some characteristics of dangerous cults, or the 8 typical ones. And Heaven's Gate demonstrates several of these, including that the members were unquestionably devoted to their leader, and they basically all committed suicide because Applewhite told them to, and they believed what he fed them. And they were also isolated from society, which is number 6, and they were told to give up all of their earthly possessions. And also Marshall Applewhite was very charismatic and appealing as a leader to his followers because they joined the cult in the first place. And these attributes portrayed Heaven's Gate as a dangerous cult, which ultimately was just plain harmful because it took the lives of 39 people.
The history of Heaven's Gate is it was founded in 1947 and continued to grow until 1977. It was the early 1970s that Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles began founding Heaven's Gate, and the two renamed themselves Bo and Peep and took part in a 6-month-long road trip to gain followers. This resulted in the widespread belief and gaining a wider audience to join their cult in Heaven's Gate. And in the current status, is in March of 1997, 39 members of Heaven's Gate, including Applewhite, committed suicide wearing black tracksuits and sneakers. They achieved such by eating applesauce laced with barbiturates, and they ultimately proceeded to wash it down with vodka. They then put bags over their heads and purple shrouds over their bodies, laying down to leave their earthly vehicles or themselves. The police eventually found the group's bodies on March 26th and found the individuals to be castrated. They did this because they decided that the comet that was approaching had a UFO spaceship which was going to take them to the Tila and save them. Currently, there are 2 Heaven's Gates members who run the cult's websites. They were not present of the day of the suicide, which is why they are still alive.
Why did people join? Marshall Applewhite met Bonnie Nettles in 1972, and they had a spiritual connection that sparked. The two talked about mysticism and eventually decided they were divine messengers. They formed Heaven's Gate and called themselves Bo and Peep. They began spreading their message and recruiting people. They spread posters explaining their beliefs, then gave a presentation in Oregon. In this presentation and many others, they promoted Heaven's Gate, claiming a UFO would come and whisk the cult members away. This would take them to a new world and better life called Tela, the evolutionary level above human. According to Heaven's Gate, once somebody had perfected themselves through the process, they were able to enter or graduate to the next level. Many people, including those looking for reason, spiritual meaning, and young people, were attracted to the idea. Using this, they were able to convince many people to leave everything behind and hope for a better place.
Evidence of why people joined. People joined because they were swept up in a sense of superiority of others. For example, one of the main members, Bonnie Nettles, was raised in Houston with a Baptist family. Soon she shifted away from religion. She later began to practice seances to connect with deceased spirits. She ran to Applewhite, where he convinced her of his heavenly ideas. Sharing similar beliefs, she joined his cult as she finally found someone who understood her.
Then those are some pictures. The first one that you'll see is the Heaven's Gate logo or like emblem. The second is of Marshall Applewhite, and then the third is of Bonnie Nettles. And then those are our citations.